From the nation's capital, Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce. A weekly discussion about the federal issues most important to Nevada. And now, from Washington, D.C., here's Marilee Joyce.
Good day to you. I'm Marilee Joyce, and this is Eye on Washington, the only statewide Nevada news program produced in Washington, D.C. Every week, Eye on Washington takes you state to Capitol Hill for a discussion with Nevada's delegation and other leaders about the federal matters that matter to you. Today's topic, how well are we serving those who have served us? An Eye on Washington salute to Nevada's military men and women. My guests today are Nevada U.S. Congresswoman Dina Titus, and joining her today as our special guest, the former Nevada U.S. Congressman John Porter. And thanks both of you for being here today.
Thank you.
Well, 1 in 8 Nevadans is a veteran, and that number can only continue to grow. And today on Eye on Washington, an update on the big backlog of veterans' claims for disability benefits, a focus on veterans' health care, and later, a first-ever Nevada memorial honoring the fallen coming to Sparks. Well, let's start with where things stand with that backlog of benefits claims. Some good news. As of August, the Veterans Administration says the backlog count now is less than 100,000 nationwide. That's an 84% reduction since the March 2013 peak. Well, we told you here on Eye on Washington that the VA's Reno Regional Office, which handles most claims for Nevada, was ranked worst in the country for backlogs in 2013. Better days now, of course. Again, as of August, 479 of you are waiting versus the office's peak of more than 8,500. And wait time for ratings decisions is 95 days, down from 357. Now, Congresswoman, last year, VA Secretary Robert McDonald told the National Disabled American Veterans Convention in Las Vegas that solving the backlog was a top priority, saying, quote, "When there's been a violation of trust of the nation or veterans, there will be accountability." So what do you say? How's the Nevada Regional Office doing toward kind of repairing that lost trust with your state veterans?
Well, that's part of the culture of the VA. We are there to serve veterans. We have no other purpose but to provide for their needs because they earned it and they deserve it. And the VA Secretary feels very strongly about that. He's done a great job since he has been in that position, bringing down the overall numbers nationwide. And every time I see him, I have said, hey, what about Reno? So he got that message, and we have a new director there. We've prioritized that office. We've sent out a number of the cases around the country to help deal with the backlog, and now there is a considerable improvement, and I think it's being recognized at home. But that doesn't mean we take our eye off the ball. We have to be sure that we continue to move it forward.
Yeah, and that kind of does get to my next questions. I did want to know how you rank the management there now, and kind of what current concerns still remain for you regarding the office.
Well, you know, there was a lot of morale problem at that office because you had a director who had been put on leave, then you had 2 acting directors. Now we have a person who was a troubleshooter in Los Angeles who has a really good record for kind of fixing things when there's a problem, and so I think that's going to turn it around. And so I have reached out to her. I've invited her to come south. I wish she would move south, actually, but I think there will be a good working relationship.
Congressman Porter, I know that when you were here on the Hill, for the many years you were here, I know that veterans issues in general were big on your radar as well. You know, Senator Heller wants the General Accounting Office to conduct an audit of all 58 regional offices. You know, given your past history with the veterans when you were here, what are your thoughts on that audit idea?
Well, first and foremost, I applaud the Nevada delegation, especially on this issue and with the leadership of Congresswoman looking after our veterans. It is bipartisan, and the delegation works very well together and has historically. I certainly appreciate what the senator is suggesting. Thank goodness there's been movement, as the Congresswoman has mentioned, to take care of some of these folks, but keep an eye on the ball, and you know, with federal bureaucracy, if you look the other way for a moment, things could change. So I think it's critical that you have the facts and then you're able to make the right decisions.
You know, Congresswoman, I know that your next big worry was regarding all this is what you called in the press the pending appeals tsunami. You know, that backlog of claims is way down, but that's led to a kind of an overloaded appeals process, hasn't it? What's happening here?
Well, that's right, because the more claims you deal with, then the more likely you are to have appeals. You squeeze the balloon here, it pops up there. Now, I have been talking about this for over a year. I want us to get ahead of it, not be behind it like we were with the original claims. And the Secretary has heard that. Now, the statistics show that the percentage of appeals is not going up, just the number, because the volume is. Right now, we've got about 3,000 appeals pending in Nevada. We want to be sure that number comes down instead of increasing in a way that we get behind the ball. And
you've seen, I know that you're happier with management there regarding the appeal stuff. They get it, and the discussions you've had thus far, you're pleased with how things are moving along?
Well, they do, and we have looked at some legislation, too, to try to streamline that appeals process, like fast track some of the cases, just like we did with the original claims.
Okay, thank you. And when we return to their good health, Pahrump veterans finally get the news they've been hoping for, and that's just ahead.
You're watching Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce, brought to you by Caesars Entertainment, the Las Vegas Sands Corporation, the Regional Transportation Commission of Washoe County, the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, Boyd Gaming, NB Energy, the Regional Transportation Commission of Southern Nevada, Rogich Communications Group, and Jim Marsh Automotive. Want more federal news that affects Nevada, its businesses, and its residents? Then you need to subscribe to Nevada's Washington Watch newsletter, your sole source of online news direct from Washington, D.C. Visit joycecommunications.com and subscribe today.
All of us at Caesars Entertainment have something we want to say.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly.
We don't want you to gamble if you've had too much to drink.
You shouldn't gamble if you're lonely or depressed.
And if you're under 21, you're not allowed to play.
No, no, no.
No matter which of our casinos you come to, our message is always the same.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly. We know you're coming to our casinos to have a good time, and we always want you to leave feeling like you did.
And welcome back to Eye on Washington, our special Veterans Show. My guest today, Nevada U.S. Congresswoman Dina Titus, and our special guest, former Nevada U.S. Congressman John Porter. Well, are you or someone you love among the 6,000 veterans who calls the Pahrump area home? Well, some exciting news for those of you who have complaints about the long haul to the VA clinics and medical center in Las Vegas Valley. In August, the VA awarded a $12 million contract to build a long-awaited health care clinic for veterans in Pahrump and Nye County. The 9,800 square foot clinic would be the latest among the agency's modernized healthcare clinics in Southern Nevada. It would join the North Las Vegas Medical Center and associated community clinics opened in 2012 and a community outpatient clinic opened in Laughlin last year. So Congresswoman, you know, I saw Senator Reed quoted in the Pahrump Valley Times. He's saying that this means, quote, that more than 6,000 veterans in the area get the same quality health care as afforded veterans in Las Vegas and Laughlin. So it is good news for your veterans across Nevada, isn't it?
Oh, no question about it. That's outside my district, but we want to serve veterans throughout the state. Back in 2008, 2008, before we had redistricting, Laughlin was part of the area that I represented. So we worked very hard to get that outreach clinic there, because people have to come in from Laughlin to Las Vegas or over the hump from Pahrump into Las Vegas. We want to take services out to them as much as we can.
You know, Congressman Porter, when you were on the Hill, a lot has changed in Nevada when you think about all the clinics that have opened up and the service to the veterans. So when you were here, you sure heard, I'm sure, about the complaints of them having to trek to, you know, faraway places. So this is exciting news. But I know that you live mostly here in the district area, but you are back home a lot as well. What do you hear now versus then about kind of the exciting news about how veterans' health care is being met?
Oh, thank you. I still get calls. I was in office about 25 years, so in local, state, and federal. So I still hear from veterans, and I still hear their cries for assistance. But things have improved substantially. But there's still a lot of very lonely veterans out there that aren't sure where to turn. They're confused, and we can build clinics, but we still need to streamline the process. They're confused by the paperwork. They're confused by where to go. So yes, it's been a great improvement. But there's still a lot of pain in our veterans in trying to get the proper service and help.
Congresswoman, I know, of course, you don't and can't represent the whole state, but from what you hear, where are there still kind of lagging need? Where is that need not being met in Nevada, where veterans are still having to travel too far to get the health care they need and deserve?
Well, I think I represent all veterans wherever they are.
That's why we say you are veterans.
But John is right. And Nevada is a very rural state. So even though there aren't many people out there, they're scattered quite a distance apart from some of the metropolitan areas. That's why one of the parts of the Choice Act, so that you don't have to go to a VA doctor, you can go to a private doctor.
Would you remind our viewers quickly what the Choice Act is?
We passed this to try to deal with the health crisis, to get more people into the system, just as John was suggesting, who needed help. And this was to say, if you can't get a VA doctor within 30 days, or you live more than 40 miles from a VA facility, you can see a private doctor, and the VA will cover that. And one of the goals of that was aimed at the people who are living in some of these rural outreach areas.
You know, I know that pressure from the delegation can take much of the credit for the not only the Pahrump clinic coming to fruition, but what we've seen in Las Vegas, Laughlin, North Las Vegas, etc. And sometimes it's what I've heard is on this, that there was a lot of delays in the VA funding for this. What I know, you serve on a big subcommittee. You're very involved with the Veterans Committee. What are some things you do to make sure that the VA doesn't let delays in awarding of funding stand in the way of these projects that help our veterans?
Well, one of the things we're trying to do is fully fund the VA up front, and that's something that is bipartisan. And that's one of the good things about the committee on most issues. It's not ideological. Everybody wants to help veterans, just as John was saying. One of the problems at the Las Vegas hospital was that the design kept changing, and so it got bigger, it changed, it got a new emergency room, and so the demand outgrew what had originally been planned. Usually the number of people using the VA facility kind of doubles. Build it and they will come. Well, in Las Vegas it went up 19%, so you can see what the need was.
Well, we did get some good news though, right?
Yeah.
And when we return, the first ever memorial to honor Nevada's fallen heroes. It's big, it's beautiful, and it's next. Stay with us.
Nevada's direct link to Capitol Hill. Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce. The only statewide Nevada news show based in Washington, D.C. All the top federal matters that matter most to Nevadans. Marilee talks with our congressional delegation and other leaders about the federal news you need to know. Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce. Nevada's Eye on Capitol Hill.
I was the first woman ever to deploy on a Strategic Air Command deployment.
You didn't just serve your country.
I lobbied for women to be on board submarines.
You paved the way for others.
I joined the Army because I wanted a challenge.
And the challenges you face now? Your VA delivers a variety of benefits. Learn more, including how to apply online using e-benefits.
No matter what time it is, you've earned them. Apply today.
All of us at Caesars Entertainment have something we want to say.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly.
We don't want you to gamble if you've had too much to drink.
You shouldn't gamble if you're lonely or depressed.
And if you're under 21, you're not allowed to play.
No, no, no.
No matter which of our casinos you come to, our message is always the same.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly.
We know you're coming to our casinos to have a good time, and we always want you to leave feeling like you did.
I'm a teacher. Let me tell you what I make. I make learning a privilege, not a chore, and frustration a tool, not an obstacle. I make working hard seem easy and giving up impossible. I make an old subject feel like a fresh thought and unconventional methods common. I'm a teacher. I make more.
Oh, hey, bud. Where are you headed?
Just gonna hang out.
With Gary and Todd?
Yeah.
I've been meaning to ask you, is there any drinking going on in this crowd?
No.
If any of your buddies ever pressure you to take a drink, just tell them you promised your dad you wouldn't. I'd do anything to keep you safe.
Okay, I will.
I hope this is working.
I promise. Love you too, Dad.
They really do hear you. For tips on what to say, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
And welcome back to Eye on Washington and our big salute to Nevada's veterans. We've been visiting with Nevada U.S. Congresswoman Dina Titus and former Nevada U.S. Congressman John Porter. You know why you get to live in the best nation on earth and enjoy the many freedoms that you get to experience? Because of Nevada's and this nation's military, many of whom gave their lives so we can be a free country. Well, a great big thank you is coming to Nevada soon. The Nevada Veterans Memorial Plaza will honor the state's 838 fallen servicemen and women. It will recognize veterans from all 17 Nevada counties, as well as hold an annual event to honor the future fallen. The brick plaza with its surrounding benches will be built in Sparks at the corner of Gregg Street and the Veterans Memorial Bridge. Just as the descriptors are moving, the entryway to the plaza will feature 2 statues of boots, rifles, and helmets to mark hallowed ground. The central feature will have a large polished black granite depiction of the state of Nevada with the state's motto, "All for Our Country," inscribed upon it. Now, Congresswoman, I'm going to share more details later, but you know, I think we really need to recognize, first of all, how important this is for Nevadans who really gave their all for our country.
Well, there's no question about it. We have a long tradition of the military, whether it's in Fallon or at Nellis or at Stead, Creech. You know, we have long played a very big role in supporting our military, and it's great that we recognize them. I think this monument in Sparks is going to be wonderful, but I would also point out there's a high school in Las Vegas that's named Veterans High School, and we have a small memorial for veterans on the campus of UNLV. So the more we can do, the better, and I think this is great.
Boy, that's sure true. Congressman Porter, I want to tell our statewide audience, first of all, that, you know, in addition to being here as a former congressman, you, of course, are also here today because you serve as a special advisor to the Plaza Project. And what an exciting project to be affiliated and associated with, isn't it?
Well, it's a real honor, and I must applaud Councilman Ron Smith from Sparks. And actually his dual role, he's also a commissioner of the Regional Transportation Commission in Washoe. For his leadership, they had a vision, and part of that is exactly what the Congresswoman was talking about, is to remember those men and women. And we need to keep reminding everyone about the great sacrifice since 1864 that Nevadans have given. And there is a problem today. You know, everyone's busy. They're busy taking care of their kids and taking care of their families and their businesses. This is another way just to remind them at the key entrance, what will be the Veterans Highway in the Sparks area. But it's one way to keep reminding everyone, because we're so busy and there's news about what's happening around the world, but this is a moment and a very special moment for us to recognize.
You know, again, the organizers say it's for the fallen, but it's also for all Nevada, servicemen and women, and it's going to have an event that is going to honor future fallen. If that, sadly, more in the future. But as we tape this show today, I know that you're planning to attend a big fundraising dinner for the memorial, and its honoree I think we should talk about for a moment is General Robert Herbert, who was promoted to the rank of Brigadier General last November. I'd like you to tell us just a bit why was he chosen for this special honor at the dinner?
Well, I wish it was going to be a roast for Bob, because I think we could probably really give him a hard time. I think to all your viewers out there, General Herbert, who prefers to be called Bob,
sure.
But the General has done so much for Nevadans. He's kind of one of those unsung heroes, whether it's transportation, education, health care. His role in the Senator Reed's office has touched most every Nevadan in some shape or form. And the fact that he is a general with close to 7,000 hours of flight time, and of course we could say probably another 7,000 flying back and forth between Nevada and Washington. But Bob has done so much, and this is our way to say thank you to the General for all he's done.
I know him, and he's just a nice, good guy too, isn't he? Congresswoman, I know that Senator Reed lauded him on before the Senate for the congressional record. I know that you know that. And as you know, of course, the General was a Brookings Fellow, and he was assigned to Reed at the time, advising him on military and defense issues. And as Congressman Porter said, done so much for Nevadans, the veterans in general, hasn't he?
Oh, he has. It has been a pleasure for me to work with him over all the years I've been in politics, and he's been in Senator Reed's office. He is a veteran. He is a military man. He is an aviator. He knows all of these fields. But it's like John said, he's kind of an unsung hero. He's like the person in the movie that you don't know his name, but he's that guy. You keep seeing him, he's that guy. Yeah. Well, he's touched everybody's lives, so he is that guy who has made such a difference.
And of course, we should say again that while General Herbert is the big honoree at the dinner, the other big honorees, of course, are all of Nevada's fallen heroes, aren't they?
Exactly.
And when we come back, if not a bricklayer, can you be a brick buyer? The plaza needs your help, and we're going to tell you how you can help. Details right after this.
All of us at Caesars Entertainment have something we want to say.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly.
We don't want you to gamble if you've had too much to drink.
You shouldn't gamble if you're lonely or depressed.
And if you're under 21, you're not allowed to play.
No, no, no.
No matter which of our casinos you come to, our message is always the same.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly. We know you're coming to our casinos to have a good time, and we always want you to leave feeling like you did.
Nevada's direct link to Capitol Hill. Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce. The only statewide Nevada news show based in Washington, D.C. All the top federal matters that matter most to Nevadans. Marilee talks with our congressional delegation and other leaders about the federal news you need to know. Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce. Nevada's Eye on Capitol Hill.
It's already rented.
If you believe you've been discriminated against in housing because of your race, color, religion, national origin, sex, familial status, or disability, call HUD or visit hud.gov/fair housing. Fair housing is your right. Use it.
Having your child hospitalized can be a terrifying experience for any parent. In one moment, everything can change. Here at the Reno Ronald McDonald House, we can help. We keep families together when it matters the most by providing a home away from home for families with children in the hospital. Parents who stay at the Ronald McDonald House have more time with their children during the healing process. Please contact us today for more information and to see how you can help. Donate online at rmhc-reno.org.
Want more federal news that affects Nevada, its businesses, and its residents? Then you need to subscribe to Nevada's Washington Watch newsletter, your sole source of online news direct from Washington, D.C. Visit joycecommunications.com and subscribe today.
Well, we've told you about the Nevada Veterans Memorial Plaza that will pay tribute to Nevada's 838 servicemen and women who have fallen in the line of duty dating clear back to statehood. But this amazing tribute is still missing something. And that something is you. To make this happen, the organizers are raising funds by selling engraved bricks that will be used in the memorial's design. Now, you can buy a single brick for $100 or double bricks for $250, and there are only 10,000 to 12,000 available, so you better order yours now. Now, Congresswoman, I saw an article on this all that quoted Sparks Councilman Ron Smith as saying that he planned to buy a brick for his veteran father. It sounds like such a great gift for any father, any veteran, anyone really.
Well, it is. It's similar to a brick I bought at Ellis Island to show where my grandfather came through there when he immigrated to this country from Greece. A brick is a permanent thing that is a nice reminder and a great tribute. You
really feel like you did something to support the
veteran.
You
can go back and see it often.
Sure. Congressman Porter, you know, we should mention another community part of this is all this, because what's great about this is such a, you know, a Nevadans effort. The memorial is going to be maintained by the local Gold Star Mothers Club and the local Rotary Club members. So between helping giving funds to construct it, Nevadans are going to be involved in maintaining it as well, not only in putting it together.
A big part of bringing the community involved to remind everyone of all the folks that have given their lives that are from Nevada. So again, part of Ron's, the councilman's vision is to bring the community and the state together to recognize those that have fallen.
You do so strongly on your committee and back home represent Nevada's veterans. What do you hear about the importance of this memorial and all that it means, not only to the fallen and well, to their families, but to today's veterans and even to our very young people, kind of looking with respect upon things like this?
Well, I think that they want to be sure people don't forget. Don't forget the sacrifices that they made. Don't forget what it took to keep this nation free. Don't forget our history and our story, and this will help with that.
And again, can you help? If you are in a position to do so, if you can just buy a brick or two or help the effort in general, you can find out how by visiting NevadaVeteransMemorial.org. And that is it for today's Eye on Washington. Thank you so much, both of you, for being here today. And thanks for joining me, all of you. And if you can get more federal news that impact Nevada at any time, just go to our website, joycecommunications.com. Like us on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter. That's it for it on Eye on Washington today. I'm Marilee Joyce in Washington, D.C. Have a great day.